You know, guys, every time when I do a Loki review, I absolutely have a big smile on my face because not only does it get more intense, it gets to the point where I'm like, wow, because there's so much that they did in this episode that shocked the living daylights out of me because it was insane. Because it literally leaves off right when Loki is in this void world and he meets three other timeline versions of himself: a child version, an older version, and an alligator version of all things, and a black version of him. So what's they all form him. They're all Lokis, and there is a creature out there called Eliath that is a consumer of. Basically, comes in contact with anything, it gets destroyed, and anything that is prone, this is where they come. And Loki, being Loki, is having a million questions per second, like, what the hell am I doing here? What's everybody doing? What exactly is going on? And no questions are really being answered, other than, of course, that we have to find safety. And he's looking at all of them like, okay, why are you following a boy? And they're saying you should be respectful to him because this is his kingdom. So I'm assuming he was one of the first ones to arrive there, because he looks at him. He says, well, what was your Nexus event, your majesty? And he says, I killed Thor. So we later find out, when they finally get out of there, where they go to their little hideout, we get to see a frog version of Thor, which again we've seen in the comics. We see a Thanos helicopter, which again from the comics. So there's a lot of Easter eggs in this show, which was absolutely crazy. So they finally go into their little hideaway, and we go back to the TVA, and of course the boss is talking to Sylvie, and they're trying to figure out everything. She does betray her again, and Sylvie has no choice but to prune herself to find Loki, because she does not know exactly what to do other than to look for him in the place that he is. So she prunes herself, and of course the boss of the TVA, she is still wanting to be loyal to the TVA, even though she's being very blind and ignorant. She is wanting to figure out, okay, who exactly is in charge, and why is Sylvie after them. And even the one guard that helps Sylvie, Sylvie. Well, Sylvie realized that, hey, she needs to know the truth. And once she finally did, she was trying to inform her, like, what do you know about the variant? And she says the difference between you and her is that you want to find out who it is. She needs to know who it is. So that I found pretty interesting. And we later find out that there was different versions of Loki. Again, there's so many versions of Loki we've seen in this, because they inform him that any point in time, it doesn't matter what kind of Loki you are, you're going to be alone, you're going to be an outcast, and you're going to be meant to die. Well, it was really interesting, because the childlike Loki and the older Loki had the most interesting timelines, because the older Loki, because even our Loki, he asked him, he goes, well, what happened with yours? He says, well, no one wants to hear that. And he informs him that he actually survived against Thanos, that he faked his own death. He was lost in space for however long. He made his way onto a planet, and he was there for a long time. But then when he tried to leave, that's when the TVA found him. And the only reason why he left or tried to leave is because he was lonely. And he even informed him that that was the only way he survived. And Loki comes up with a plan to kill Eliath. To be able, there's got to be a way. They inform them of a female Loki. But as soon as Sylvie arrives in this void place, we see where she starts running from Eliath. But we see a familiar face. We see Mobius comes to the rescue. He even informs her that they have a plan. There's got to be a way out of here. We just got to find Loki. And as soon as that happens, We go back to Loki. He even comes up with a plan to come up against Goliath. Nobody wants to help him, so he tries to leave, but he is confronted by not only another version of himself that we see in the trailer that had the horns and the vote for Loki and his whole little band of, I guess, other Lokis. And what the deal was that him and the Black Loki, that I really was interesting because he looked like he was possibly carrying something that he made to be almost like Thor's hammer. So I don't know. I mean, it was kind of interesting because there were so many different variations of Loki in this episode that I was really interested in finding out. But we also see where there was a lot of betrayal on both sides. The Black Loki basically states that he wanted to get more information, that here you go, if you have this, then I'll give you what you want, and I become leader, take your army. And he says, no, that ain't gonna happen. So there was betrayal on that side, and then of course everyone else betrays that Loki that was supposedly had, you know, the running for president sign on his the badge on his chest. And then what's really interesting is that he starts laughing and everyone starts like, what the heck? And what's really cool about this is we see a variation where he says, why is there an alligator in this room? And he says, well, that's a variation of Loki. And then the alligator Loki attacks the one that has the president badge on there and actually bites his hand off. So we actually get to see, really hilariously, Tom Hiddleston scream like a girl, and it was extremely funny. And then a fight breaks out and he just does not know what to say or do, and the older Loki creates a variation of them fighting each other. They're able to escape. They try to go to where Goliath is, but then what's even more interesting is that they actually catch up to, or Sylvie and Mobius does, and then they come up with a plan that they're going to enchant Goliath and be able to try to stop him, because even Sylvie states that the reason why that they're not that there has to be a way to either kill it or be able to enchant it, because they are protecting whatever is really there. There is just a guard dog. So Sylvie as well as Loki does have a moment in this episode. We also see where Mobius talks to the other Lokis, that he says there's always time to change, and the older Loki asks him, well, so you're just gonna turn your back on everything that you stood for? He says, well, not everything. He says, I'm gonna make it better than what I thought. So what's really cool is we do see where Loki and even Sylvie do talk, and he even states that he's not the same person anymore. He's changed through all this, and maybe he has. I mean, you really do see a big change in Loki in this episode, because he's wanting to get out of here. He's wanting to help. He's wanting to fight with Sylvie. He's wanting to fight with Mobius and be able to fight. And as soon as he does, Sylvie says, okay, well, how do I know you're not going to stab me in the back at the very last minute? And he informs her that, hey, I did stab my brother in the back. I stabbed my friends. And he says, but I'm not the same person any longer. And even she states that she never had no friends. How is she going to be able to do this on her own? And she says, well, even if we take down the TVA, how about we just find you a place to roll? He says, well, yeah, maybe I'll be happy. And then she says, well, we'll figure it out. And he says, well, no, we're going to figure it out together. So we do see where they're going to be going up against Goliath, and then Sylvie gives him the time or a keypad, but he says, no, I'm going with you. So the younger Loki gives him a sword, saying, you're going to need this, that they're not going to leave, they're going to be staying, that this is their home, they're going to survive one way or another. And then, of course, Mobius takes it, and he says, well, I guess you got away. And he says, yeah, I guess so. So he tries to shake Loki's hand, but Loki's like, nah, I'm coming in for a bro hug. So he gives him a hug, and he says, thank you, my friend. And as soon as he starts leaving, they go again towards their own death. But Loki and Sylvie tries to handle Goliath, but Sylvie cannot do it on her own. So of course, Loki comes up with an idea, okay, I'm going to be the decoy, and Sylvie unfortunately is not able to do it. And right when it's about ready to consume Sylvie, because it's not focusing on Loki, the older Loki comes back to create a huge illusion of Asgard to be able to give them enough time to do whatever they're trying to do. And it just shows how powerful they can be. It just shows how powerful Loki can be if he actually puts his mind to it and actually just keeps evolving. So this was really the evolved form of, I would say, Old Man Loki. And it was pretty cool because he gave his life trying to give purpose to whatever they were trying to do. And as soon as he did, we see where Loki actually learns enchantment with Sylvie. And as soon as that happens, they are finally able to enchant Alioth, and they were able to see some type of building that Alioth was protecting / carrying in this mass storm that was being shown. And this is how the episode ends. There was no mid-credits at the end. This episode really did feel like a movie. It's getting more intense every time I watch it. Now, again, I'm a little unsure of how many episodes this does have. It won't shock me if there's like, I would say 8 or maybe 10. Maybe 10. I think it's going to be 10. I'm not entirely sure. I could be wrong. But I know with all the shows that we're getting in Marvel, especially with Black Widow coming around the corner, is giving us Marvel fans enough to chew on, so to speak, where we can get enough Marvel throughout the year. And this is, I think, has been very grateful that we've gotten as much Marvel as we have. And I'm incredibly thankful for this show. I find it very entertaining. There's not really nothing I did not like about this. I really enjoyed myself. I really enjoyed seeing what was going to happen. I was really on the edge of my seat of what was going to happen. You know, this character was going to die, or this character was going to do this. You know, there was really no way of knowing what was going to happen. So, very excited for next week. Can't wait to see what's going to happen. Let me know what you guys thought about this episode, man. What was your favorite part? What did you expect? What was you thinking that was going to happen? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments down below. If you guys are new to the channel, still about subscribing, leave a big fat like on the video. And as normal, guys, I'll always see you on the very next video.